very much. Hello, welcome. My name is Makkonen, and I'm going to talk about spatial design for Larps with case examples from Odysseus. And my role in Odysseus was being the spatial designer, the prop team leader, and the art director in the game. And in real life, I work as an interior architect. So I've been looking for a game where I could actually try to explore what you could achieve through spatial design in a LARP. And Odysseus seemed a good match for my wishes, and it actually was quite hugely. Please feel free to ask any questions if you don't understand something, but the schedule is actually quite hectic because we have only 45 minutes and I have so much to show to you. So let's be very efficient. And this is also my first program, so I might be a bit nervous in the start, but I will probably relax in a bit. Just stay with me and laugh to all my bad jokes, please. So, spatial design for Larps with Odysseus, or the story of how this became this. So on the left side you see the existing corridor from the venue, and on the right side the same corridor in game. The program is going to consist of 4 sections. I will start with the starting point, so what was the groundwork done before even starting the actual process. Then I will explain the process, and after that the locations with some ideas what we thought for them. And then we will arrive to the conclusion where I will speak some wise words about the spatial design and what we learned along the way. Who doesn't know anything about Odysseus LARP? You can raise your hand. Thank you. So Odysseus was a story about survival, situated in the future, a space adventure game. The story was that a superior machine enemy had wiped out most of the humankind lately. And the last survivors were trying to escape the enemy and also try their way back to their ancestors' home, which was the planet Earth. So the themes of the story was drama, action, puzzles and tragedy. And already in the marketing materials we were talking about a story inspired by Battlestar Galactica. The building was started in the beginning of June and lasted for almost 3 weeks. Then we had 3 runs with a couple of days between them, and then the venue takedown. The game situated in-game in a spaceship called SS Odysseus, which was an old cargo vessel formerly used for scientist missions. And off-game, it was situated in a primary school in Helsinki called Torpparimäen koulu. And as you can see, it's very sci-fi on its own actually, in the exterior at least. And I will show you some pictures of the venue later. So just some numbers. We had 3 runs, 48 in-game hours per run and 104 players per run. So a big game, basically, at least for me. The process for me started in May when I did the first interior concept for the main organizers, but the actual work started in September when we had the venue. And I hate the first concept because it's really ugly, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. Sorry, too close. Unfortunately it's in Finnish, but the basic idea was using this toned color palette and steel mesh, and also feature lighting to bring up the modules and things we would build on site. And then the venue that was found had steel mesh ceilings, steel mesh walls, and grey floor. A horrible, horrible place for the school kids. a perfect place for us. We had only a few wooden elements which were really easy to hide actually, and most of the wooden elements were actually furniture, so it was quite easy. We had 2 floors. In the upper floor we had classrooms. Here is a picture of that. The classroom entrances had this really nice feature that the entrance actually stretched out of the walls, so it was really easy to see where the doors. They also had lockers, which we couldn't move or use, so I wanted to hide them somehow. And you can see already in this picture that the corridors have these steel pillars which make a really nice rhythm, so I wanted to use that to our advantage somehow. And then nice hanging puppets in the classroom. But actually I go back to this picture because from here you can see that the dining hall, which was in the center, you could see from the upper deck, which we call it, you could see from there the center as well, so it was quite an open area, and the dining hall was the center of attention from almost all of the directions. Here's the plan, the layout of the venue, and yes, it did look like this. It was an ellipse-shaped layout. Here's the lower deck, so the ground floor. In the center is the dining hall. The stage is in front. The canteen is next to it with the kitchen. Then we had the gym, the changing rooms and the showers here. A couple of classrooms in here. And then the main entrance, the cloakroom, and a big youth center in here. In the upper deck we had classrooms on 3 sides and a bunch of toilets. So we had the venue, we had the story. So what we do next? We do a list. I love lists. So we sat down with the main organizers and we made a list of all the locations that they wanted, and I asked some information of them. I do recommend you to do a list like this. It is really practical and makes you see the overall what you're going to do next. Things to add on the list. For example, here are a few things that I kept very important. So the room type. Is it free time, work, dining? What kind of type of room is it? Then I think the most important thing is the idea or the purpose of the room. So you have to have a reason for the room to exist. Otherwise you wouldn't have a room there and you wouldn't use it. Also the functions. So what are the players going to do in the room? Are they going to work, discuss, explore? What are the functions you want to have there? Then the users, of course. So are they going to be kids, adults? What kind of players are you going to have? But I think as important are the characters. So for example, in Odysseus we wanted to have workspaces. So I wanted the workers to feel that they belong to the room where they have their workplace, that it's a second home for them. So this was really important during the spatial design. Also all the furniture, bigger features, elements, props that need space research, and also technical equipment. So I communicated a lot with the IT about the screens, laptops, also with the sound and lighting designer about the things that they want in the room, so that I could have the space research. And I think that's the best way for you to actually benefit from the equipment that you will have in the room. So let's say that 2 hours before the game starts, you get to know that you're going to add an info screen to the room. What are the odds that you actually have a place for it there, so that people would actually see the info screen? So that's why. I have 2 examples here. The first one is from Engine Room. So for Engine Room, it was really important for me as a spatial designer to know that there's going to be a high noise level. So already during the early design process, I wanted to position engine room in the layout so that it's far away from the sleeping quarters where people would sleep during the game. For Science Lab, it was going to be a place for doing the research. So as a spatial designer, it was important for me to provide a place where to do the research and display where the items could be stored after this, and also make it so that all the players can actually see what is going on in the Science Lab. So we did this little workout, and we had 34 spaces in total, of which 23 were to be propped. And at the time we had, I think, 5 members in props team. So it was quite obvious that we need more people. As this lovely poster by Afi Ilola says. And in the end, actually, we did have more people. So in total, we had 40 props team members in the end, and 160 volunteers in total. I don't know if that's the latest number. And the venue area was 1,500 square meters, and the props budget was 12,500 euros. So, yeah, easy project. Easy first project. Yes, Olli?
Can I ask about the cost of the game? How much was it for the play? I figured there's someone here who knows.
Yes, Laura. 200 euros was the Norton regular ticket.
300 was the sponsor.
And 300 for the sponsor ticket.
And was that like the only source of income for the game?
Yes. Yes.
Costume.
Yeah. The process started in November basically and lasted until May. And the first thing that I did was doing the design brief. So this is to summarize your design ideas so they are easy to communicate to the team. And for this page, I had 2 mood images, which were from Battlestar Galactica series. And the challenge that I wanted to point out was the school environment and needed to be hidden, at least the small elements that make you think about the school. The interior concept in general was to have this ship-like feeling with fixed elements. I actually do design for cruise ship industry for international markets, so I wanted to implement some ideas from my work to this project as well. On the right, I have some words that describe the interior concept, so they are dark, artificial, military, and organized, and also for the player experience, so wow, unique, and futuristic. I also defined my design drivers. These are the most important things that you want to have through your spatial design. So my 3 drivers were inclusive, hiding the school environment, and Battlestar Galactica. Then I went off to do the concept layout, and you just don't do a concept layout right away. So this is the sketch of the distribution of the spaces, so where each location should be. And first off, you add the locations that need to be somewhere with that they have a locked position in a way. So for example, we had the dining needed to be in the dining hall because that was the place where we could provide it, so that's why we had the mess hall in the dining hall. For safety reasons, we needed to have the sleeping quarters and the off-game area in these areas. So after you've done this, actually you can play around with the layout and try to find new ideas on how the rooms could be distributed. And I did a free proposal for the main organizers, and we talked about these ideas, and actually this final proposal was combined from all these proposals. So the idea was to have the science lab in the mess hall to take up some space from there. And then I wanted to have the crew bar in front of the stage to highlight this adult-like environment more. In the upper deck, I wanted to have bigger areas in here because we had 6 classrooms, and otherwise it would be too hectic and busy for you to walk along. So of course the bridge needed to be here because it was the biggest classroom at the school. But also I wanted to have another big space next to it, which was the medical bay with 2 rooms where you could actually, they had a divider in the classroom, so you could actually see from one space to another. So we had the examination room and the nursing room, and these combined made the medical bay. In the corner we had the security room with live stream cameras, and here we had connected lounge areas, so ballroom and celestial lounge, as it was called. And the engine room was put here in the corner along this long corridor to keep it quite away from the sleeping quarters on the other side. Also, I studied the flow, so this is for you to see where the players go and also where you want them to go. So I wanted the players to go along these long corridors here, which wouldn't, of course, now work out because we had most of the areas were open here. There were only steel pillars here. So you had to force the players somehow with separate walls in the lower deck. In the upper deck, I wanted to create this circulation pattern here so that people would go upstairs past the bridge, then the medical bay, along the corridor, and then back to the mess hall. So in order to make this, we needed to have interesting features here past the bridge as well. Then the layouts I did in a month, I think, when I had, luckily, holiday from work. Otherwise it wouldn't have happened. So I'm not going to explain all the layouts to you, but you can actually go and see them in Ropecon Props exhibition. They are there, and I'll be glad to show them to you if you are interested. But all the red lines that you can see here in the layouts are actually new walls that we built. I show you a short sample from the mess hall. So the things you should include in the layout are the names of the room, obviously, in-game and off-game, the square meters, the main dimensions, quantities, for example, for seats, beds, things like that. Also the furniture, bigger props, any additional constructions that you need space for. Ceilings and floor heights we needed to have, for example, here in the corridor, we added our own corridor wall elements, so I needed to know the ceiling height from there. Also, any information on the accessibility is really good. So, for example, here I wanted to have make sure that the flow could go from one staircase to another. So I've added the dimension here between the furniture to make sure that there is enough clear space for that. The complete interior design package I combined from these layouts and also some other info of each location that was to be propped. So here is an example of the corridors. We had some food images, then I added the actions, so what needed to be done for each location. What was the things that we used from the existing space, and what was to be added, what kind of mood was desired, and also the key plans. So these show where the location is situated at the venue, and then photo of the existing space along with some concept ideas for those locations that we had already developed. So for example, here is a concept photo I did of the corridors. And I had the idea of adding this lit modules to the steel pillars to make it more module-like space. Another example is from the mess hall. So here's the same thing. And here is the concept photo of the space. So here is actually the science lab, a sketch of it at least. And here is a big great wall. I wanted to add this feature here to close off the opium area which was in the upper deck behind this wall, so that it wouldn't disturb the players during the game. And the players wouldn't disturb the game masters during the game. So this, small elements added. And then the crew bar is in front of the stage as well here. So after this interior design package was done, we had location managers who were in charge of one or more locations. And with the location managers and the lighting designer, we developed these locations further. And I'm not going to tell you everything about that either, because that's just so much things, but I'm going to show you some examples. So on the left side are the drawings of the big work desks, which I produced for our builder, Pekka Väisänen, who built the bridge on site. Here on the right side is a scale model of Science Lab, and the Walter Blom and Marita Paila were the location managers for this. And you can actually go and see the Science Lab in the props exhibition as well. It's there for you to see. Then the corridors. I really love the corridors. They were really fun to do. These were designs that I worked with Jerry Bocher, who made the concept renderings, and then I produced the technical drawings and the instructions for the builders to work with. And for corridors, we had a collaboration from Stadin Ammattiopisto, a vocational school in Helsinki, who built the final modules. We did a lot of documentation as well, but I have only two pages from our Drive Dogs Hell. The left one is the timetable, which has horrible colors. I think this is the ugliest slide actually in my presentation. On the right side is the room card or the material and furniture specification list, which is much easier to say in Finnish. It's huonekortti. So here we followed the budget of each location. We added materials, furniture, soft goods, decor, lighting, basically all the things that we needed to buy or that we were giving for each location. So then onwards to the locations. I'm going to show you a video first. Some clips from Tabloid Media Ilta-Sanomat, who came to the open doors of Odysseus to see what was going on. So there were some clips of the corridors, surveillance cameras, screens with empty epsilon. This is the bridge with diagonal walls and light features. Then into the science lab, which was built wholly. Celestial Lounge. The war room, which was next to the lounge. This armory. The mess hall. There you can see the science lab. corridor gate. That skull actually was from the venue originally. Which again, here you can see the light pillars, and this is one of the airlocks, which had rising door, or lifting, etc. Map of the ship and the engine room. How much is that? And then the jump engine. Okay, so I will just shortly explain to you with what actions I wanted to make sure that these 3 design drivers were highlighted in the spatial design. So the first one, which was most important for me, was this having these inclusive spaces with that would also be open and accessible. So it was super important for me to have this transparency in the game, and I believe that through transparency, people hear things they wouldn't maybe otherwise hear, or see things, or experience even things they wouldn't otherwise be a part of. So I wanted to ensure that the space would be inclusive and open to all players. For this to work out, we had the doors fixed open. The windows that we already had towards the corridor were left clear, so you could actually see what was going on in most of the rooms, and things that we built, for example, the science lab, we added windows so that you could still be part of this inclusive mood. And here actually is the picture of the bridge, where people are looking to the bridge to see what is going on. Yes?
Can I say, as a player, this was one of the most amazing and important things in the whole game.
Wow.
That we could actually see what others are doing, because we couldn't just, listen to the walls. That's boring. Yeah. So thank you.
And I think that's also because of the live stream that we could make. So you could actually see things recorded elsewhere, even though you weren't there participating. Another one was the hide in the school environment. So I wanted to hide the existing lockers and code tracks. And here's a picture. We added these console tables there to hide them. And also we added these stickers near the classroom entrances so that you could see what is being done in the room, what the room is for, what's the name of the room, and to cover the things that were behind the sticker. And the third one was this Battlestar Galactica feeling. So we had this toned color palette, and I think the most important thing here was to have this unified interior style while supporting the identity of each space. So I didn't want to have it all the same. Of course, we wanted to have differences in the spaces, but also keeping this unified style to make it more military and organized. So that's why we had the modules in the corridors, and also the bridge was pretty same to this unified style. Here is the Great Wall from the mess hall, which was built and propped by Kalle Rantanen and Sara Westerholm. And here you can see the crew bar, which was in front of the stage. So this was really the center of attention, and people really like to spend their time here looking at what is going on and what's happening. So you could listen to the speeches and see things happening on a projector here. So it really created this open environment, at least how I saw it. The science lab. So I wanted to force the players to go to the science lab through this long corridor, so they couldn't access to the science lab from the mess hall, also to reduce any noise coming from the mess hall. So that's why the entrance was on the other side. And also in the back, we added this flex wall for which you could project information. And actually, they used it quite well in some of the runs. And here is a picture from the mess hall to the science lab of the window. So I wanted to have the scientists to be able to see what is happening in the mess hall and also other way around. Here's the bridge, here is the building phase. Pekka Vaisanen is building their art. And I wanted to have these diagonal walls here on the corners to make sure that the players who are watching from the windows can actually see what is going on there. The chairs actually weren't really fancied. We got a lot of complaints. So we updated it a bit and added these adjustable work chairs after the first run. and also a stage and a chair for the captain. And also a footstool, because the captain liked to relax his legs above the planning station, which was not meant for that. So I added the footstool for them as well later. The engine room definitely was the most Instagrammable place of the whole ship. I saw so many selfies from there. And the location managers for this were Essi Santala and Henri Saareskivi, which did a magnificent job with their room. And here is detail from the map ship done by our graphic designer Ines Parkanen. The medical bay was supposed to be white and very clinical as opposed to the other areas, and it was built quite quickly by Arthur, what was his? Bergman, thank you. These pictures are from examination room. So here we have the examination bed, which had a moving part here. And actually you can see this in work when you go to see Essi Santalas and Sampo Juustolas, a technical program, because they have a video from there. On the other side, we have the nursing room, which I wanted to have the same, this bluish palette, but making it more soft and easier for you to relax. So that's why we have the sick beds there and these long curtains. And you could actually see what was going on in the examination side from there. The war room was one of the few places which you could actually close. So you could have closed meetings, secret private meetings here, but I didn't want them to negotiate for 3 hours. So that's why I wanted to have a high standing table, so that they wouldn't get too comfy. And I wanted to encourage the players to continue this discussion in the lounge side, which you could access from here, from these doors. And I think it worked quite well. Here is the door to the war room. But Celestial Lounge didn't work that well in the start. It was called a depression lounge. So after the first run, Essi Santala, who was the lighting designer of this game, she adjusted the lighting, and I took some furniture away and added some sofas, and then had some fancy cups for the players to celebrate. I don't really get it, why people don't celebrate when it's the end of the world. I would definitely be just there having parties all night long.
Yeah, we tried at some point, but we didn't really have time.
But I think it's the details that make up the space and finalize it. So on the left side is a photo of a prop, a machine prop made by Jani Talonen, And I think these all fancy small and big things really made the overall look. We also had over 30 traffic poster designs done for this game. And I heard this comment from one player that every time they entered some space, they saw a new design. So I'm really glad to hear that, because that was the idea. And also the signage. We had a graphic designer working on the signage, and then a prop maker laser cut and produced all the signage for us. So I think that also finalized the unified look there. I'm not going to talk about lighting more because Essi Santal will talk about that, but I just want to show you the same picture or the same place without the game lighting and with the game lighting, just to show you how you can actually make a difference with a proper lighting design. So we should come to a conclusion now. What would I do differently? If I were to do this again, I would definitely have a separate designer for off-game areas, because they were as important as the in-game areas. So I would definitely have another designer in the project as well. I would make a stronger purpose for Celestial Lounge. So I think that its reason to exist was not enough now. So it should have something stronger to make it a better place to the game. I would also provide places to attach post-it notes, because they were attached, quite many. And also have more information on how to use and how not to use the spaces overall. I would also adjust the furniture dimensions to improve accessibility. We actually received quite good feedback on the accessibility, but there were minor things that I would like to adjust if I were to do this again to make it even better. If you want to see more Odysseus, here are the things that you should go see. So definitely go see the props exhibition. We have the corridor modules there and the scale module of the science lab and all this stuff. So please go and see it. Also, later tonight is another program, and tomorrow there's a bigger program. Well, they're both big. I have the smallest one anyway. So please go see them. I thank you for you to patient so patiently. Minutes, so if you have any questions, I am free to talk now, and as well, again. And I actually have these two design packages with me, which were on site in the building, so if you want to come and see how the information was gathered, you are free to come, but I cannot share them publicly because we have some personal information there as well, but you can free to come and see. Yes?
Actually, one question. The engineering challenges that were present in the engineering team, did you actually design the placement of those challenges, or was that done by the engineering team?
So you mean the engineering puzzle? Oh,
yeah, the engineering puzzles where the tags were located.
So you want to know, did I position the engineering puzzles or someone else?
Yeah.
It depended. So if the puzzles were big enough, then I reserved space for them. But otherwise, they were just looped on.
Yeah, because I was just thinking that, for example, the fact that the table in the water room, there were some puzzles underneath that table, and those create game, because even when you had a secret meeting with the doors closed, a technician might just wash in that maintenance work and climb under the table.
Yes, the main organizers wanted to have the puzzles in the most difficult places.
You were very deliberate.
So I acted accordingly. Yes?
How about the green room? Was it your design?
So the design of the green room was done by Ville Miettinen and actually constructed on site by Janina Kahela. Yes, and Ida Kontkanen was very keen in that. So they were with the family. They were the location managers for green room and security room and armory. Yes.
You talked about that this layout where engine room is there and the restroom
Sleeping quarters, yes.
This was it was mixed up of 3 previous. Can you give some examples for what were like these previous designs, like where it started from and how it evolved?
Yes, I could. Actually, 3 versions. The one was with all the workstations next to each other. The one was the easiest, so where the science lab would be along these workstations, so we wouldn't have another module for the science lab. I think the third one was this, yes, with the science lab in the center. And then I just tried different things like where to have the captain's quarters, do we need room for captain's quarters or for Celestial Lounge, and like playing with the scales of the rooms. So, but I can show you the layers later, maybe I will have to take a while to actually find them. Yes?
When you measured how big corridor modules, for example, needed to be, did you measure also the doorways through which they would need to be carried in? Asking as a person who was carrying them.
So the question was how were the corridor modules measured? Was the openings where they were carried to the side also measured? And the answer is no. It was pure luck.
It was actually considered about 2 weeks before they were carried in, and it was asked to go measure it. So if you needed to make any adjustments, you could do that on the side when they were filled.
There was an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
All the things you learn. Yes?
What were the 3D things on the walls?
Oh.
Please tell me, I was wondering so much.
Yes, so the question is what were these 3D shaped things on the wall, so you can see one there example.
Yeah.
The space plastics.
Yes, there were actually these molds that Essi Santala managed to achieve from a hospital. So they were originally some kind of guns, so some kind of equipment used there. I don't know for what. Does it, Henry, know?
Yeah, it's the package material for washing thingy shaped like a pistol that is used on a hip replacement surgery.
Okay, so I'm not going to repeat that. Hospital equipment packaging. Yes?
Do you think that you would do another design for a LARP like this? Like, is this something that you're like, yes, I want to do this again, or you're like, I'm going to stick to my chainsaw?
Well, since I work with spatial design, it's very close to my heart, and I think the most important feedback that I heard from the players was actually that the spaces were functioning. So they were really good spaces to play at. So I think maybe my target was to, in a way, show what you could achieve through spatial design in a LARP, and what things you could bring and what values you could support with spatial design. So I would definitely do this again. Not now. I think I need a bit of time to myself. But yes, I definitely would do something with spatial design in collage in the future. If anyone takes me in the project.
Any day.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Did anyone use any of the rooms in unexpected ways, or ways that you didn't want?
Well, I think this was it was like a learning by doing process in that way. So the question was, did the players use the rooms in an unexpected way? Yes, they did. But I think mostly positively. So I wanted the players to take the rooms and make them their own. So they definitely did that. Some of the furniture moved quite much. We had a lot of loose furniture in the corridors because I wanted to make sure that the players can go there and hang out and discuss while they're watching, for example, the bridge or the medical bay or whichever room they want to see while they're also seeing the mess hall. So these furniture did move quite a bit from there, but they were returned to their rightful places. And of course some things that when you design, but you forget to tell the players that this is how you use this room. Like smaller things that, oh, I didn't know that there is something there as well that I could use. Then we fix those during the next runs. So it was really nice to have this a couple of days between the runs to actually develop things further and make them even better. Yes?
How much was there changes from first local to the first international and then from the first international to the second one? Was there a difference on the amount of changes or just the time that you had to do?
So the question was how much of changes there were during the runs. I think the biggest changes were after the local run, mostly because I wanted to fine-tune some of the spaces. They were basically ready, but some things were still something that we could bring even or do even better. So I would say that we did some updates to some of the spaces, really small in the end. And after the second run, so the first international run, I think we did almost no changes at all. So just minor tidying up and winding the game back to its starting position. So nothing big, basically. Oh yes. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much.